All right, so listen to this one. Okay. We are diving deep today into a story about a Porsche GT3 RS that went for a swim.
A swim.
Yeah. It was fully submerged. Get this.
Wow.
It's a brand new car, like 200 miles on it.
Oh, no.
The owner bought it for like $150,000 over sticker price.
Oof.
And then boom, right to the bottom of a river.
So what are we looking at here? Like what happened? Totaled.
Well, that is what we are going to find out.
Okay,
We are
yeah.
using the new owner, Matt Armstrong's YouTube channel for this deep dive.
Right.
He bought this thing for $30,000 knowing it was a huge risk. So
Wow.
what do you think? Genius or crazy?
I mean, I guess it depends, right? Like a GT3 RS, that's a series car.
Yeah.
Naturally aspirated, flat six engine, super lightweight, all about performance.
Right.
See one like underwater, I don't even know what I'd do.
Yeah, I mean, for the previous owner who paid that much over sticker,
Yeah.
must have been a nightmare.
Yeah, total nightmare. So how does a Porsche end up at the bottom of a river anyway?
Good question. Well, the previous owner said he was driving it kind of hard on a road he didn't know and lost it on a curve, went off road, hit some trees, and then
And then splash.
straight into the river.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it happens, right?
Yeah, but with a car like that.
Yeah, I guess even the best drivers can make mistakes, especially in a high-performance car like that.
Absolutely.
Plus, I mean, water damage, that's a whole other thing compared to your typical fender bender.
For sure. So Matt starts by draining all the fluids, and surprise, surprise, he finds rust inside the engine.
Oh, yeah, that's not good.
So I know rust is bad, but like, what does that actually mean for an engine like this?
Well, rust is oxidation.
Right.
Like, the metal is literally breaking down.
Okay.
And in an engine, that could be a huge problem.
Yeah.
You've got all these, like, precisely engineered parts relying on smooth surfaces and tight tolerances.
Right.
Rust messes all that up. It
Yeah.
can cause friction wear, and then eventually the whole thing just fails.
Okay. So that is not good.
Not at all.
So I'm guessing like turning over the engine at this point is a big no-no.
Yeah, absolutely. If the cylinders are rusted, forcing the pistons to move could score the cylinder walls.
Ah.
That's the inside of the cylinders where the pistons move up and down.
Right.
It'd be like taking sandpaper to a smooth surface.
Oh, wow.
You can completely ruin the engine.
So they've got this engine that could be seized up, and on top of that, the body's a mess too, like damaged quarter panel, the root, the front tub.
Read the front tub.
Yeah, and the A-pillar is bent too.
Oh man, that's not good. The front tub is like a key structural part of the car.
Right.
And this is where it gets tricky. The GT3 RS is a limited production car.
Yeah.
Parts are not just sitting around.
Right.
A new front tub alone would be, what, over $100,000?
Yeah, something like that.
So what do you do?
Well, Matt, being the resourceful guy, he looked all over for salvaged parts,
Smart.
and he found a left-hand drive tub in Germany for $30,000.
Wow. Okay, so he's going the salvage route.
Yeah.
That's pretty common these days, I guess, with how connected the car world is.
Right.
You can find parts for even the rarest cars if you look hard enough,
Yeah.
but it's not as easy as just like clicking buy now,
Right.
You've got
Yeah.
customs regulations, compatibility checks, shipping delays.
Right. Right.
And then on top of all that, rebuilding the car with used and new parts adds another layer of complexity.
Yeah, it's like a giant puzzle with a giant price tag.
Exactly.
And speaking of puzzles, remember how the car was missing the key?
Oh, yeah, forgot about that.
Well, that just added another mystery to this whole thing.
Yeah, without the key, you can't even test the electronics.
Exactly. You can't see how bad the water damage is.
It's like trying to diagnose a patient without being able to take their vitals.
Right.
You need that key to power up the systems to get a read on what's going on.
And this is where it gets crazy. They ask around for help,
Okay.
and they find the previous owner, and guess what? He still had the key.
No way.
Yeah, he kept it like as a souvenir.
Wow. Talk about a lucky break.
Right. What are the chances?
I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
So now they have the key.
They can finally start figuring out the electrical situation.
Right.
The big question now is, did the water get to any important components?
Yeah. Because water and electronics do not mix.
Nope, not at all. So they check the fuses,
Okay.
and this is where it gets nerve-wracking.
Oh.
So if a fuse blows, that usually means water got into that circuit,
Okay.
but it also means the fuse protected the rest of the circuit from damage.
Okay.
But get this, none of the fuses were blown.
No.
Yeah, that means the water could have totally bypassed the fuses and gotten into like sensitive modules, computers, even the wiring harness.
And that's bad.
That's really bad, like way more expensive.
So they have got a potentially seized engine, a ton of body damage, and they don't know what's going on with the electronics.
Yikes.
And remember, this whole time, they have a salvaged tub from Germany
Yeah.
just waiting for them.
Then what do?
Well, they decide to ship the whole car to the UK where the tub is.
Wow.
And that's where the real fun begins, a complete teardown of the engine.
To see how bad it is.
Yeah, to assess the damage. Makes sense.
And this is where you can really see Matt's attention to detail.
How so?
They take apart this complex engine and they mark every single part.
Whoa.
And they're doing it all without a workshop manual.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, talk about dedication.
For real.
Yeah.
The GT3 RS engine is a work of art titanium connecting rods, dry sump lubrication variable valve timing.
Right.
You really don't want to be guessing with an engine like
Then
that.
you've got to know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So they start by removing the camshafts, which control the valves that let air in and out of the cylinders.
Okay.
Then the exhaust manifolds, which take the exhaust gases away from the engine.
Got it.
And they are documenting every single step, like it's an archaeological dig.
Very meticulous.
Yeah, but they're still hoping for the best, right?
Of course, but
Absolutely.
also prepared for the worst, I'd imagine.
Yeah, every part they take off is getting them closer to the truth.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they find it.
Uh-oh.
More rust. This time it's inside the cylinders.
Oh, no.
It's like the water got everywhere.
I mean, we talked about the dangers of rust,
We did.
and now they are seeing it up close and personal.
So what does this mean for the rebuild? Is the engine toast?
Well, it's not looking good.
Yeah.
The cylinders are the heart of the engine,
Okay.
and if they're damaged, then the whole thing's basically useless.
So it's over?
Well, they're not giving up yet. They're going to try and clean the cylinders as best they can and hope that maybe, just maybe, they can salvage it.
So they've got a mountain of work ahead of them.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking and they're probably freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine.
What happens next? You'll have to wait for the next part of our deep dive to find out.
I mean, they're in a tough spot right now.
Yeah.
Imagine this. You've got this incredible car, this Porsche GT3 RS, all taken apart. You've got this German tub waiting to be put on,
Right.
and now you're not even sure if the engine's going to work.
It's a lot.
It really is a test of commitment.
Yeah. I'd be tempted to just give up. But
Yeah.
Matt seems like he really wants to make this work.
It's admirable.
So they clean the cylinders and then comes the moment of truth.
Okay.
They got to try and turn the engine over.
This is it, right? The make it or break it moment.
Yeah.
Because if those cylinders are too damaged, turning it over could be a disaster.
Yeah, you could bend connecting rods, damage the pistons, just all kinds of bad stuff.
Exactly. A lot of expensive noises.
So they take a deep breath, grab a wrench, and the engine turns over.
Wow.
But does that mean it's okay?
Well, it's a good sign, for sure. It means it's not completely seized up,
Okay.
but doesn't mean it's out of the woods yet.
Right.
The big worry now is those cylinder walls. Remember, they were rusted.
Mm-hmm.
And even after cleaning, there could be like tiny pits or imperfections that could cause problems later on.
So they call in an expert
Smart move.
to take a look, and the verdict is
Don't tell me it's bad.
not great. The specialist finds that the coating on the cylinder walls,
The Nikasil.
the Nikasil, is
Yeah.
corroded.
Oh man, Nikasil is like a special coating that makes the GT3 RS engine so special. It's super durable, reduces friction, and lets the engine run really hot.
Okay.
But when it corrodes, it's like losing that protection, and the aluminum underneath is exposed to wear and tear.
So a new engine block is like, what, 6,000 pounds?
Something like that. Yeah, a lot of money.
So now what? Do they rebuild the engine knowing the Nikasil is corroded?
Right.
Or do they buy a new engine block and spend even more money?
It's a tough call. Put yourself in Matt's position. He bought this salvage car, found a replacement tub, shipped it all the way to the UK.
And he's filming it all for his YouTube channel.
Exactly. He's got an audience who are invested in this project, and now he has to make this huge decision.
Must be a lot of pressure.
Yeah, for sure. And it makes you think about what drives someone to take on a project like this.
I know, right?
Is it the challenge,
Hmm.
the love of cars, the wanting to bring something back from the dead?
It's probably all of that. And that's what makes this story so interesting.
Totally. It's not just about cars and engines. It's about passion and never giving up.
And it all started with this crazy accident.
Right. A brand new Porsche in a river.
And then the missing key, the search for parts, the engine teardown. It's wild.
It really is. Like a real-life car adventure.
It just shows you that something that seems like a total disaster can turn into something really amazing.
Yeah, and that even when things seem hopeless, there's always something to learn, something to overcome.
So back to the engine. What do you think Matt should do?
It's a tough one. I can see both sides.
Me too. Part of me wants to see him get that original engine running again.
Right. like a victory against the odds.
Exactly. But then I think, wouldn't it be smarter to just get a new engine and start fresh?
I get that.
Uh,
A new block would mean they don't have to worry about the Nekasil anymore.
right.
But it's a lot more money, and there's something to be said for keeping the original heart of the car. You know?
Plus, think about the story. Bringing that original engine back to life would be so cool.
True. It'd be like a phoenix rising from the ashes, or the riverbed in this case.
Yeah, exactly. But a rebuilt engine with bad Nika seal might not be that reliable.
And this is a GT3 RS. It's meant to be driven hard.
So it's like a battle between wanting to keep the original and wanting to make sure the car is going to run right.
And ultimately, it's up to Matt.
Yeah, he's got to decide what's best for him and the project.
And remember, this is more than just a car. It's a story. And it's Matt's story to tell.
So will he play it safe and get a new engine? Or will he risk it all and go with the original?
What's he gonna do?
We'll find out in the next part of our deep dive. I don't know about you, but this whole thing's got me thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what would I do? Would I take the risk with that old engine?
Right.
Or would I just get a new block and be done with it, even if it costs more?
It's tough, right? Like head versus heart.
Yeah.
One side of you wants that originality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Taya, you brought that original engine back to life.
Exactly. But then you got to think practically.
Yeah.
This is a performance car.
Yeah.
If the engine isn't perfect,
Right.
it's going to affect the whole experience.
You know, I think a lot of people can relate to this, even if they aren't rebuilding a Porsche.
Yeah, for sure.
It's about balancing what you're passionate about with what you can actually do.
And sometimes knowing when to compromise.
Exactly. And I think what makes this whole story so interesting is how open Matt's being about it all.
I agree.
He's showing the good and the bad, the struggles, the tough decisions.
It makes it feel real.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see that honesty.
Totally. We usually only see the finished product, you know.
Right, the perfect car, all shiny and new.
Yeah, but we don't see all the work that went into it.
All the sweat and tears, and probably a lot of money, too.
Oh, yeah. Rebuilding a car like this,
Mm-hmm.
especially a GT3 RS, that's
Oh.
not cheap.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And that new engine block alone is a lot of cash.
Absolutely. But it's not just about the money, right?
No,
It's the time, the effort, the emotional investment.
right. It's become more than just a project for Matt.
Yeah, it's a challenge, something, to figure out a way to prove what he can do.
And I think there's a lot of pride in that.
For sure. Taking on something this big and seeing it through even when it gets tough.
Yeah, proving to yourself that you can do it.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole story so inspiring.
It is.
It reminds you that even when things seem impossible, there's always a way.
It might not be easy,
Or cheap.
but if you're passionate enough and you don't give up, you can do amazing things.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Porsche that went for a swim, I think the big lesson here is
Let's hear it.
don't be afraid to chase your dreams, even if they sound a little crazy.
I like that. The Porsches. Embrace the challenges, learn from the mistakes, and most importantly, enjoy the ride.
Because sometimes the best experiences are the ones that push you outside your comfort zone.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll be diving into your automotive adventure.
That's right. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those engines running.